carros, uma paixão, na Management TV.
Volkswagen proved to the world that small could be beautiful. It is also smart, reliable, affordable and fun. When the Beetle burst onto the post-war scene, it turned the automotive world upside down. The shape of a Beetle is as recognizable as a Coca-Cola bottle. It's a classic, not because it's rare or expensive, but because it had such an impact. Today, Volkswagen is one of the largest companies in the world. Its factories and dealerships span the globe. It produces a startling array of vehicles. Its lineup of Volkswagens is just one part of a global automotive giant. It owns Audi in Germany, Bentley in the UK, Lamborghini in Italy, and the revived Bugatti in France. No one could have imagined that Volkswagen would assemble this amazingly diverse range of brands when it started out. The company began taking shape in Germany during the 1930s. It was a turbulent time, but the strength of the German automobile makers was astounding, especially on the racetrack. The German subsidiaries of General Motors and Ford sold more cars in Germany than any other company. But the two German concerns, Mercedes-Benz and Auto Union, dominated Grand Prix racing. One man had helped both teams with the design and engineering of their cars, Ferdinand Porsche. Porsche was an engineer of remarkable abilities. His skills didn't escape the notice of Germany's Chancellor, Adolf Hitler. In 1933, he asked Porsche to design a people's car, or Volkswagen, for Germany. Porsche accepted, and he started work on what was to be an important and historic project. He admired Henry Ford and knew the impact the Model T had had on the United States. As he developed his new car, he visited Detroit and studied the Ford plants. It was quite a contrast to Germany. While companies like BMW were building small cars such as the Dixie, Germany had never had an inexpensive mass-produced car that was the equivalent to the Model T. Germans like Carl Benz and Gottlieb Daimler are credited with inventing the automobile, but they built cars mainly for the rich. Their grand luxury autos and super-fast sporty touring machines were not affordable everyday cars. Porsche was responsible for some of their advanced designs. He was now charged with creating Germany's Model T. He needed to design a car that cost no more than a medium-priced motorcycle and was very fuel efficient. He'd laid the groundwork in 1932 while building 3 small prototype autos for the German motorcycle manufacturer NSU. He revisited his design after receiving the new commission. 3 more prototypes were built. He called these the Type 60s. Porsche was still searching for the right engine for these simple, lightweight, aerodynamic cars. He knew they should be rear-mounted for better traction and air-cooled to prevent freezing in the winter, particularly desirable in Germany. By February of 1936, Porsche had prepared 3 more prototypes. They had the basic four-cylinder engine that went on to power over 20 million Volkswagens. The cars were taken out for a 30,000-mile test run over the Alps and down the new autobahns. By December 1st, they'd passed their test. But there was more work to do before production began. In 1938, the new factory was under construction in a town that Hitler christened with the Orwellian-sounding name Strength Through Joy, or KDF-Stadt. He also called the cars the KDF Wagens. Everyone else would call them the Beetles or the Bugs. As the factory was going up, Porsche turned his attention to creating a sporty car, the Type 64. Using many Volkswagen components, he laid the foundation for what would later become the car the world associates with his name, the Porsche. His dreams for a racy sports car and the future of the Volkswagen were put on hold when Hitler marshaled his armies and invaded Poland in September of 1939. There was no way to fill the thousands of orders for the Volkswagen. The few that had been built went to Nazi party officials. The rest of the country would have to wait until after the war. Germany was in shambles when the war ended in 1945. Its industrial base was a bombed-out hulk. The Volkswagen factory was no exception. The British military authority needed transportation, and a young major, Ivan Hurst, decided he'd try to revive the Volkswagen production facility. Out of the rubble, he created a viable working factory. With an initial order from the British Army for 20,000 cars, he was off and running. By October of 1946, 10,000 Volkswagens had rolled off the line. It was soon evident that this would be a viable concern. The British found a real manager for Volkswagen, Heinrich Nordhoff, but also recognized that VW needed economic help. The Ford Motor Company was given the opportunity to buy Volkswagen. Henry Ford II, the grandson of the man that Porsche admired, is reported to have said, "I don't think what we're being offered here is worth a damn." Instead, Ford decided to focus on rebuilding its own German brand, the Taunus. It's interesting to speculate about what would have happened if Ford had taken over VW. Nordhoff realized there were challenges. He said, "The Beetle has as many faults as a dog has fleas." But as Germany's economy recovered, there was a growing appetite for cars. The Volkswagen, new or used, was a good value for people shopping for basic transportation. The rapid post-war transformation